If you're over 50, there's a good chance you've spent years focusing on what you haven't achieved yet. But today, I want to try something different. Because you may be far more financially healthy than you realize, and the signs aren't always what people expect.
Quiet wealth, calm finance, better life.
One of the most common habits among responsible adults is focusing on what's missing. The retirement account that isn't large enough, the investments that started too late, the financial goals that remain unfinished, the opportunities that seem missed. For many people, especially after 50, financial reflection becomes increasingly critical. And unfortunately, that reflection often turns into self-judgment. People look at others, compare net worth, compare retirement accounts, compare lifestyles, compare accomplishments, and gradually they begin believing they're falling behind. But financial health is more complicated than a single number. Much more complicated. In fact, some of the strongest indicators of long-term financial well-being rarely appear in social media posts. They rarely appear in advertisements. And they certainly don't appear in luxury lifestyle videos. Today, I want to share 7 signs that you may be financially healthier than you think. Not because everything is perfect, but because progress deserves recognition too. 1. You can pay your bills without constant panic. The first sign may sound ordinary, almost too ordinary, yet it matters enormously. You can pay your bills without constant fear. Think about that for a moment. Many people spend years living under intense financial pressure, wondering if there will be enough money at the end of the month, choosing which bills get paid first, constantly juggling obligations, experiencing stress every time a payment becomes due. If that is no longer your reality, you may be more financially healthy than you realize. Because stability is valuable, extremely valuable. The ability to meet basic obligations consistently creates something money alone cannot buy: mental bandwidth. It creates space to think, plan, reflect, and make decisions without constant urgency. Many people underestimate this achievement because it feels ordinary. But ordinary financial stability is actually extraordinary compared to chronic financial stress. 2. Your debt is moving in the right direction. The second sign is simple. Your debt situation is improving. Notice I didn't say debt-free, improving. Many people mistakenly believe financial health begins only after every debt disappears. But progress matters more than many people realize. A person moving steadily forward often has a healthier future than someone standing still with a larger balance sheet. Progress deserves recognition, especially in midlife. 3. You're no longer trying to impress everyone. One of the most underrated financial milestones has nothing to do with money. It's emotional maturity. Specifically, the ability to stop performing success. Many adults reach a point where they become less interested in impressing others, less interested in appearances, less interested in comparison, and more interested in peace. This shift is incredibly powerful because comparison is expensive, status is expensive, constant validation is expensive. When people stop spending money to maintain an image, they often discover financial breathing room and emotional breathing room as well. Ironically, some of the healthiest financial decisions begin when people stop caring what strangers think. 4. You have an emergency buffer. The fourth sign is having some form of financial cushion. Not perfection, not wealth, a cushion. Maybe it's 3 months of expenses. Maybe it's 6. Maybe it's simply enough to handle a surprise repair or unexpected bill. Whatever the amount, having a buffer changes your relationship with uncertainty. Life becomes less fragile. Problems become inconveniences rather than disasters. And that psychological shift matters enormously. Because financial health is partly about resilience, the ability to absorb shocks without collapsing. And resilience often matters more than raw income.
5. You make decisions with the future in mind. A fifth sign of financial health is something many people overlook. You think beyond today. Perhaps you contribute to retirement accounts. Perhaps you review spending habits. Perhaps you make choices based on long-term consequences rather than short-term gratification. These behaviors may seem small, yet they reflect something profound: perspective. The ability to consider your future self. And that perspective is one of the strongest predictors of financial success over time. Not because it guarantees perfect outcomes, but because it encourages better decisions consistently. 6. You have options. Perhaps one of the strongest signs of financial health is having options. The option to reduce work. The option to change careers. The option to help family. The option to handle unexpected challenges. Options create freedom. And freedom is often a more meaningful measure of wealth than income. Many people spend years chasing larger numbers, while overlooking the value of flexibility. But flexibility is powerful, because life rarely unfolds exactly as planned, and people with options generally adapt more easily. 7. Money no longer dominates every thought. Money no longer consumes your entire mental landscape. You still care about finances. You still make responsible decisions. But money no longer controls every conversation, every worry, every moment. Because true financial health is not simply about accumulation. It's also about emotional balance. The ability to think about life beyond finances. Relationships, experiences, purpose, health, community. These things matter too. And when money becomes a tool rather than an obsession, many people discover a deeper form of wealth. Why we often feel behind. One reason many people underestimate their financial progress is because comparison has become constant. In previous generations, people compared themselves to neighbours, co-workers, friends, a relatively small circle. Today, we compare ourselves to the entire world, every day, every hour, through social media, financial influencers, investment success stories, luxury lifestyles, early retirees, entrepreneurs, millionaires. And after enough exposure, something subtle begins to happen. We stop measuring our progress against our own starting point and begin measuring it against someone else's highlight reel. This creates a distorted perspective, because no matter how much progress you've made, there will always be someone further ahead. Someone wealthier, someone younger, someone seemingly more successful. The comparison never ends. And when comparison becomes the primary measuring system, gratitude often disappears. Not because life became worse, but because perspective became distorted.
The people who look wealthy aren't always wealthy. One of the most liberating financial lessons is realizing that appearances reveal very little. The expensive car may be leased. The large home may carry a significant mortgage. The luxury lifestyle may be financed by stress. The successful image may conceal substantial financial pressure. This is important to remember. Because many adults quietly assume everyone around them is doing better financially. Yet reality is often far more complicated. Some people who appear wealthy are struggling. Some people who appear ordinary are thriving. And some of the most financially secure individuals live surprisingly modest lives. They are not trying to impress anyone. They are not chasing status. They are simply protecting what matters most: freedom, flexibility, peace of mind. Those qualities rarely attract attention, but they often indicate genuine financial health. The power of small improvements. Many people underestimate the impact of small improvements, because small improvements rarely feel dramatic. Paying off one credit card, building a modest emergency fund, increasing retirement contributions slightly, reducing unnecessary spending, learning a little more about investing. These actions often feel insignificant in the moment, but life is rarely changed by a single decision. More often, life changes through accumulation. Tiny improvements repeated consistently over years. A healthier financial future rarely arrives overnight. It arrives gradually, almost invisibly. And because progress is gradual, many people fail to notice it happening. Until one day, they look back and realize they are stronger than they once were, more prepared, more resilient, more stable, and far more capable of handling life's uncertainties. What financial health really feels like. Many people imagine financial health as a number, a certain net worth, a certain account balance, a certain retirement target. But financial health often feels different than expected. It feels quieter, less dramatic, more ordinary. It feels like sleeping better, feeling less anxious, making decisions without panic, handling unexpected expenses calmly, knowing you can adapt when life changes. In many ways, financial health feels less like excitement and more like steadiness. And while steadiness may not sound glamorous, it becomes increasingly valuable with age. Because stability creates freedom, and freedom creates peace. 7 years ago. Here's an exercise worth trying. Think back 7 years. Where were you financially? What worried you then? What challenges felt overwhelming? What goals felt impossible? Now compare that version of yourself to today. Perhaps you've paid off debt. Perhaps you've accumulated savings. Perhaps you've learned valuable financial lessons. Perhaps you've become more disciplined. Perhaps you've simply survived difficult periods. All of these matter. Because growth is not always measured in dollars. Sometimes growth appears as wisdom, resilience, patience, perspective, the ability to remain calm during uncertainty. Those qualities have tremendous value, even if they never appear on a financial statement. The quiet advantage of getting older. One advantage many people gain with age is clarity. Not perfect clarity, but better clarity. The ability to distinguish needs from wants. The ability to recognize marketing manipulation. The ability to see through financial hype. The ability to value peace over appearances. These lessons often arrive slowly, through experience, through mistakes, through observation. And while younger people may possess more time, older adults often possess something equally valuable: perspective. Perspective changes spending. Perspective changes priorities. Perspective changes behavior. And behavior ultimately shapes financial outcomes. In that sense, many people become financially stronger, not despite aging, but because of it.
You may already have what you were chasing financially. There is an interesting question worth considering. What if some of the things you were chasing financially are already present in your life? Not perfectly, not completely, but partially. Safety, comfort, relationships, freedom, choice, peace. Many people spend decades pursuing these things, yet fail to recognize them once they arrive. Because they arrive gradually, not dramatically. They become normal, familiar, easy to overlook. But perhaps one of the healthiest financial habits is learning to recognize progress while it is happening, not only after reaching some distant milestone.
If you've spent years feeling financially behind, I understand why. Modern life makes comparison almost unavoidable. The world constantly reminds us of what we haven't achieved, what we haven't purchased, what we haven't accumulated, what we haven't become. But financial health is not measured solely by what remains ahead. It is also measured by what you've already overcome, the challenges you've survived, the lessons you've learned, the discipline you've developed, the stability you've created, and the resilience you've built along the way. So before you assume you're falling behind, pause and look honestly at your own journey, not someone else's, yours. Because you may discover something surprising. You may discover that progress has been happening quietly all along. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but steadily. And perhaps that's exactly how meaningful wealth is built. Not through sudden breakthroughs, but through years of thoughtful decisions, small improvements, consistent effort, and the willingness to keep moving forward, step by step, year by year, moment by moment.
Thank you for spending this time with me. And if this video reminded you that financial health is more than a number, I hope you'll carry that perspective with you. Because wealth is not only what sits inside an account, it is also the peace you feel when you look at your life and realize you've already come farther than you thought. Quiet wealth is built slowly and lived fully.
Quiet wealth, calm finance, better life.